Welcome back to the channel, everyone. If you want to stay informed with clear, no-nonsense breakdowns of the biggest hearings and political moments, make sure to hit that subscribe button right now. Today, we're diving into the recent Scott Bessent hearing, where Senator Bernie Sanders didn't hold back on a critical question about wealth, policy, and healthcare.
Their healthcare and their healthcare costs are going to go up as well.
Well, we'll argue on that one. Senator Sanders.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Thanks, Mr. Bessent, for being here. Help me out here. My understanding is the Trump administration has, I think, 13 billionaires in office right now, leading government agencies. Is that about right, do you think?
I have no idea, Senator.
I think that's what the number is. Do you think it's a coincidence, given the large number of billionaires in the Trump administration, that this particular piece of legislation would provide $235 billion in tax breaks to the top 0.2% by expanding the exemptions in the estate tax?
Senator, I will tell you that when the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act passed, my tax rate went up.
Well, I don't know your exact situation, but I can tell you. Tell me about how many people do you think are in the top 0.2%?
Sorry?
Number of people in the top 0.2% who would benefit from this particular $235 billion tax break?
Well, I know the top 10% is
right.
now paying 7%.
That's not the question.
The total tax.
My question is, why do you think at a time of unprecedented income and wealth inequality, when people like yourself economically have never, ever had it so good, why do you think it's a good idea to cut Medicaid for low-income and working-class people by $700 billion, to give $235 billion in tax breaks to the very, very, very richest people in this country, perhaps a few hundred families? Please justify that and tell me about that.
Well, Senator, I don't know, but the Democrats had the trifecta, and there was no tax increase or wealth tax on billionaires. You choose.
I'm not talking about a tax.
You chose not to do that.
Mr. Bessent, I am not talking about a wealth tax. Explain. A few hundred of the wealthiest families in this country, $235 billion tax break. Explain to the American people why you think that's a great idea.
I think that this will increase small businesses substantially. That most small businesses, they are...
Has zero to do with, come on, you're smarter than that. This is the top 0.2%. This is not a mom and pop store. These are multi-billionaires, and the savings go to their kids after they pass away. This is nothing more than a gift to billionaires in this country.
Well, sir, that's just not correct, because the top 10% paid a bigger share of taxes after TCJA.
I'm talking about one provision in this. I don't want to argue with you about taxes in general. One provision, few hundred families, $235 billion in tax breaks. You can't justify that because morally it is totally unjustifiable. Let me ask you another question. If you guys want to cut $1 trillion in Medicaid and the Affordable Care Act, the estimate from CBO, I believe, is that over 15 million people lose their health insurance. Yale University and the University of Pennsylvania estimated that when you throw that many low-income and working-class people off of health care, some 50,000 people a year will die. Tell me why you think it's a good idea to give tax breaks to billionaires and allow 50,000 low-income and working-class people to die unnecessarily?
Senator, first of all, that's overstated by 5.1 million. That is not attributed to this bill. It is simply...
It's a combination. That's true.
No. You all had a scheduled expiration of Obamacare subsidies, and you did not extend that when you were in charge. 5.1 million. 1.4 million illegal aliens on Medicaid.
All right, look,
and there are work requirements. And our goal is to get more money to children and mothers.
Really? Your goal is to get more money to children, and working people. Really, come on. Do you know how many people, and I was surprised to hear this, I don't know if you know it or not, how many people lose their jobs every year, quit, get fired or whatever. Do you have any idea?
Well, there's something called the quits rate, and so when the job market is strong, more people quit.
But yeah, I was surprised that I just researched this. I don't know. Do you happen to know?
I don't know the number.
I was surprised. I mean, would it be shocking to you? It was to me. 20 million people leave their jobs a year. Doesn't shock you, right? It's a big labor force, right?
Yep.
So somebody leaves the job, maybe they move, maybe something happens in their lives, right? We have a lot of transition in the labor market, correct?
Maybe they get a better job.
Right, exactly, maybe they do. Or maybe they have to stay home, their wife gets sick, whatever, we don't know. But 20 million people lose their jobs in a given year, leave their jobs in a given year. Are those people lazy? What happens when I leave my job and maybe I have to move to another state to take care of my ill mother? And I desperately need Medicaid. Am I too lazy now to be able to get Medicaid?
I think that's a mischaracterization of the work requirement.
Really? Well, I'm not quite so sure it is.
During the hearing, Sanders highlighted what many Americans are feeling, a growing divide between the ultra-rich and everyday citizens. He pointed out that the Trump administration currently has, by his estimate, 13 billionaires in key government positions. Now, that in itself raises questions, but Sanders went further, asking Bessent whether it's a coincidence that legislation passed under this administration offered $235 billion in tax breaks to the wealthiest 0.1% of Americans. Here's the kicker. Bessent admitted he didn't know the exact number of people in that top tier who would benefit. When Sanders pressed for details, explaining that at a time of historic wealth inequality, millions of low-income Americans were facing cuts to Medicaid, Bessent didn't provide a direct answer. Instead, he deflected, noting that Democrats once had the trifecta in Congress, but didn't enact a wealth tax or raise taxes on billionaires. What this exchange really shows is the tension at the heart of American economic policy. On one hand, we have legislation that disproportionately benefits a handful of ultra-wealthy families. On the other, the working class and vulnerable Americans are facing real cuts to healthcare and social safety nets. Sanders' questioning made it clear that for many Americans, this isn't just numbers on a page. It's about access to healthcare, economic security, and fairness. If you're trying to make sense of how these tax policies affect you, here's what you need to know. The 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, referenced in this hearing, reduced estate taxes and offered enormous benefits to the wealthiest families while doing little to ease the burden on middle and lower-income households. Meanwhile, programs like Medicaid, which millions rely on for healthcare, faced proposed cuts totaling hundreds of billions. It's a stark example of policy priorities and the real-world impact on everyday lives. So, what's the takeaway? The hearing highlighted a fundamental question. Should policy be shaped to protect a tiny fraction of the population, or should it ensure basic health care and economic security for the majority? As voters and citizens, understanding the implications of these policies is critical. If you found this breakdown helpful, don't forget to subscribe for more insights like this. We break down complicated hearings, explain policy in plain language, and help you see the real stakes behind the headlines.